Welcome back to the Safety Roadmap Podcast. Today, we'll be touching on a topic that's often brought up by those looking to secure their workplace from hazards and care about health and safety.
Okay, so imagine this, right? You're heading to work, but your office today, it's a massive silo. Or maybe you're navigating the bowels of a ship. Not exactly glamorous, right?
No, not at all.
We're talking about confined spaces, those hidden worlds most people wouldn't dare to enter. But they're workplaces, and that's where we're going in today's deep dive. Confined space safety. We've got these Arabic infographics, looks like they're from Unu'usu, and they lay out the hazards and the protocols, the stuff that keeps those workers safe. And even if you're listening from your, let's just say less confined space, this stuff matters. Workplace safety, it impacts all of us.
Absolutely. It's easy to forget about the dangers of places we don't see every day. It's interesting, these infographics, they get right to it, defining what a confined space actually is. And it's not just about being, confined. It's the limited access, the difficulty getting in, and more importantly, getting out if something goes wrong. That's where the real danger is.
So it's not just being in a small space. It's about how easily you can escape if things go sideways.
Exactly. They've got everything here. Silos, tanks, even stuff like sewer systems. It really highlights that a confined space isn't about size. It's about the risk that comes with restricted access.
And these infographics don't sugarcoat it. They mention over 5,000 workplace accidents happening in these spaces every year. That's a serious wake-up call. They break the hazards down into 4 main types: atmospheric, mechanical, electrical, physical, and this one's a bit unsettling, engulfment. Let's break it down.
Starting with atmospheric hazards, what are we talking about here?
Think of it as the air we breathe, literally. Oxygen deficiency, toxic gases, even combustible dust in the air. What makes these so dangerous is, you often can't see them, can't smell them, but they can incapacitate someone in a confined space incredibly quickly.
So it's not just about having enough air to breathe, it's about the air itself being safe to breathe. Exactly. And that's why ventilation is so important. These infographics, they stress that, making sure there's a safe, breathable atmosphere before anyone even sets foot inside.
Makes sense, though. I'll admit, I never would have thought of that as a primary concern. What about mechanical and electrical hazards? Sounds like a recipe for disaster in a tight spot.
You're telling me? Those are the things you definitely don't want to mess with in a confined space. We're talking moving parts that could snag on you, live electrical systems, even something as simple as not properly locking out equipment before working on it.
Lock out, tag out. Can you break that down for me for our listeners? Sounds important.
Yeah, good point. Basically, lockout, tag out, it's a safety procedure. You use it to totally de-energize machinery or equipment before working on it. It means physically locking that power source off and tagging it so no one accidentally flips it back on. In a confined space where escape is already tough, that kind of precaution, it's a lifesaver.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now on to the, more straightforward hazards, the physical ones. I imagine these are the kinds of things that can trip you up anywhere, but they become even more dangerous in a confined space, right?
You got it. Slips, trips, and falls are the big ones, especially with the uneven, often slippery surfaces you find in confined spaces. And if you're working at heights, even a short distance, it adds another layer of risk. Then there's the lighting. Something as basic as not seeing where you're going that can turn a routine task into a hazard.
Which brings us to, honestly, the hazard that gave me chills when I saw it, engulfment. I mean, that sounds like something out of a nightmare. How does that even happen?
It's a very real danger in certain confined spaces. Engulfment, it's being completely surrounded and trapped by a liquid or a loose solid. Imagine like grain in a silo.
Yeah.
It could be sand in a pit, even liquids in a tank. It happens fast, especially with certain materials that, they can behave unpredictably. And if you're trapped, rescue, incredibly difficult.
That's terrifying. It makes you realize how quickly things can go wrong. But these infographics, they don't just point out the dangers, they offer solutions too. One infographic seems really focused on oxygen levels. What's the deal with that?
Oxygen deficiency, it's a silent killer in these spaces. Makes sense they'd focus on it. They point out that normal oxygen in the air is about 21%, but when it dips below 19.5% in a confined space, things get dangerous fast. Below 10%. Immediately life-threatening.
Wow, I had no idea the margin for error was so small. So monitoring those levels is, crucial.
Absolutely. And it's not just about not enough oxygen. The infographics, they talk about oxygen enrichment too, which sounds weird, right? More oxygen, you think that'd be good? But in a confined space, it can make fire and explosions way more likely.
Hold on. So too much oxygen is dangerous too. It's fascinating. Too much oxygen can be just as bad as not enough. It's like confined spaces, they flip our everyday understanding of safety on its head. So it's about finding a balance then.
Exactly. That's why ventilation is so important. It's about getting that safe, breathable atmosphere no matter what. But even with good ventilation, these infographics make it clear. Entering these spaces, it's not something to take lightly. There needs to be a plan, a system to manage the risks.
Speaking of preparation, they dedicate a whole section to this confined space entry permit. Sounds official.
Because it is. This permit system, it's all about intentional safety, not just wandering into a dangerous situation. It starts with a risk assessment, figuring out the specific hazards of that space.
So before anyone even thinks about grabbing a tool, they need to know exactly what they're dealing with.
Exactly. Then, based on that assessment, they come up with control measures, specific actions to either isolate or mitigate each hazard they identify. Could be anything from those lockout, tagout procedures to forced ventilation, to guarantee that breathable atmosphere.
So it's like a custom-made safety plan for every single confined space, which makes sense given how different those hazards can be. But what about the human element? The infographics mention communication as a key part of this permit system. What do they mean by that?
Oh, it's crucial. Communication is absolutely essential in this line of work. You have that constant link between the people inside, in the thick of it, and someone outside, somewhere safe. The infographic, it really stresses that having a dedicated person outside, they're responsible, keeping an eye on things, staying in contact with the workers inside. And if something goes wrong, they're the ones who kick off those emergency procedures.
Wow. So it's like having a lifeline to the outside world, someone who can call for help if things hit the fan. Because even with the best plans, right, things can still go wrong. And that's where our next infographic comes in. And this one, well, it's a bit intense. It's all about rescue procedures in these confined spaces. What really got me was the sense of urgency. Like every second counts.
It does. It really does. Time is critical in these situations in confined space rescue. This infographic, it shows the equipment they use, the procedures, all of it. We're talking tripods, harnesses, lifelines. They even have breathing apparatus for the rescue team themselves. It's serious business, not something you want to improvise.
No kidding. It's like rescuing someone from a confined space. It's its own skill set, like a specialized team.
That's exactly right. These rescue teams, they go through intense training to handle these situations, confined space emergencies. They have to think fast, use the equipment in tight, often dangerous spots, and most importantly, get that person out safely and quickly.
So it's not just about knowing how to tie a knot. It's about understanding the environment, the hazards. Really, it makes you appreciate the bravery of those rescue workers.
Absolutely. And it brings us back to that communication piece. That person outside, they're vital. They're the ones talking to the rescue team, giving them the critical info about what's going on inside. Make sure the rescue effort is coordinated, effective.
It's like this carefully planned dance. The workers inside, the person standing by outside, the rescue team, they all need each other to make sure everyone gets home safe. It's a good reminder that even in the most dangerous jobs, teamwork, communication, those can be the difference between, well, a close call and a tragedy.
You got it. And these infographics, even though they focus on the procedures, the equipment, they really highlight that human element of this work.
Yeah.
The people behind the helmets and harnesses, they're doing essential jobs. Their safety depends on this whole web of planning, communication, expertise. It all has to be there.
It makes you think about workplace safety differently. It's not just checking off boxes. It's about a culture of safety. Everyone understanding the risks, following the procedures, and looking out for each other.
Exactly. And it goes beyond the rules, too. It's about, recognizing that safety is everyone's responsibility. Even if you don't work in these environments, we can all advocate for better safety measures in our communities, our industries. It starts with awareness.
It really is. It's a lot of process, but these infographics, they don't mess around. They show just how complex confined space safety really is. So after this deep dive into a world, honestly, most of us never see what's the big takeaway here? What should our listeners really remember from all of this?
I think the core message is that confined spaces, yeah, they're dangerous. But they don't have to be death traps. If you've got the right planning, the procedures, the training, the communication, these risks, they can be managed. It's about respecting the hazards, understanding why those safety measures exist, and most importantly, valuing the lives of the people doing this work.
It makes you think about workplace safety differently. It's not just about ticking boxes. It's about building a culture of awareness where everyone, they feel like they can speak up if something's not right, and every worker knows they deserve a safe workplace.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just, the rules and regulations too. It's realizing that safety, it's everyone's responsibility. Even if we don't work in those environments ourselves, we can all, advocate for stronger safety measures in our communities, the industries we interact with. It starts with, just being aware.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about. Those industries, those workplaces, the ones that seem totally ordinary, right? But they often have hidden risks that we don't even consider. How can we, as people who are aware of this stuff, how can we support those businesses, the ones that make safety a priority? How can we use our voices to make sure that everyone who goes to work, no matter what that work is, comes home safe?
It's a question worth asking.
It really is. Because safety, at the end of the day, it's something we all share in.
Thanks for sticking with us until the end of this episode. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen and engage with our content. If you found value in what you heard today, please don't forget to hit that like button. It helps us reach more people and lets us know we're on the right track. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow our channel so you never miss an upcoming episode. We've got some great topics lined up that you won't want to miss. Lastly, if you know someone who could benefit from this information, why not share the video with them? Spread the knowledge and help your colleagues stay informed. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.